Japan now, Rob, has won 3 of the World Baseball Classic championships. The United States has 1. And so right now, Japan seems to rule. But it came down to, really, Rob, a storybook ending, right? I mean, people
Chris,
had alluded to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Chris, my goodness gracious. You couldn't, if you were in Hollywood, you couldn't write that script. But go ahead.
No, go ahead. I know you want to.
Yeah, it was just, to me, it was suitable for framing. Where Ohtani's pitching to Trout, 3-2 count, and
a wicked slider.
That was nasty. That was wiffle ball, nasty. Right?
Oh,
what was that? Did he throw that 58 miles an hour? I mean, but Chris, just the setting, the circumstance, it was what everybody, and I heard the clip from the Dan Patrick show, and John Smoltz predicted exactly that, and it came down to it, which is incredible to think that would line up that way and that Ohtani would close out the game. That
it would line up like that. I mean, golly.
Did you get to appreciate it as it went on, like just what went on and how? Yeah.
Yep. It was great. It was great. And afterwards, I think, do we have sound of Ohtani? I mean, obviously it's a translation. We don't have the sound. But Rob, essentially what he said was that getting that W, that victory, was the best moment of his career. The best moment of his career. And so that's how much it meant to him.
Yeah. And I thought that was, I get it, national pride, Chris. For the people of Japan, they were watching in droves in early games. This WBC, Chris, 80 million people were watching, like in Japan.
They got up to 100, I think.
Yeah, did it go up to 100 million?
100 million, yeah.
100 million people watching an international baseball game that doesn't have any real, what's the right term? It's an exhibition, isn't it? There's no formal.
I think the significance is what you put. I would say it's different than your tip because it's a legitimate tournament. I mean, we don't put a lot of stock into it, to be honest, as Americans. But it is a legitimate tournament. I think it's been characterized as an exhibition, but it's a tournament. There's a champion. Winning it means something. So I do think of it. I mean, again, I think here in this country, we don't think of it that importantly. But
we didn't even have
it's
all
more
of
than
our
an exhibition.
Right, but we didn't have all of our best players, best pitching. And the commissioner, Rob Manfred, said that going forward, they're going to push to have the best of everybody. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to say that the USA team was chopped liver and there were scrubs on it because they had an all-star lineup.
You had Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Trey Turner. I mean, come on.
And they were beating everybody else, Chris, by double digits. They won 14-2. Big numbers. So it wasn't like they didn't play well. It's just that the pitching for Japan, and you mentioned this yesterday, has been outstanding, and it was last night. Yeah, it just was. The run they got first, they scored first with Trey Turner's home run. But other than that, Chris, they really couldn't muster anything. One more.
Let me read you this quote from USA manager Mark DeRosa on Ohtani, Rob. What he's doing in the game is what probably 90% of the guys in that clubhouse did in Little League or in youth tournaments. And he's able to pull it off on the biggest stages. He is a unicorn to the sport. I think other guys will try it, but I don't think they're going to do it to his level. What blows me away on this stage is the fact that no moment's too big for him. He did not seem rattled by walking Jeff McNeil on a close pitch, right? Not rattled that 3 MVPs were coming up to bat. Unbelievable.
No doubt.
This dude is awesome, man.
He is. He's still not the MVP from last year in the American League. I don't care what anybody says.
I mean, that's fine. He's awesome.
But he's a great player, and he's as advertised, Chris. Remember when he first came, struggled a little bit, then he had a couple of injuries, you remember? And nobody really – he is fully what was advertised as far as being able to pitch and hit at that level. And I think there will be more people attempting to do it. Now, whether they can be at that level, I agree with DeRosa. Like you might not be able to get there. You might be much better, Chris, with the bat, and you're a mediocre pitcher, or you're a great pitcher and a mediocre hitter. Like that's not what Ohtani is.
Right. And if you're hurting, if you're not going, like say you're a pitcher, you're a great hitter, you're a decent pitcher, but you're not going to help the team in that regard, and they got other guys that can do it better, then I can't be mad at the team for being like, look, you're just going to hit. We're going to put you out of position,
you're not good
DH
enough.
Or whatever. Right. And guys, I think, should accept that if that's the case. But, Rob, I think, too, you're going, like, the guys that want to do that and up, say, through college or even the minors, do it at a high level, I think, Rob, they're going to need the encouragement. Yep, you know, because we've never thought about that, you know, in our lifetimes. And so I think but DeRosa's right, Rob. Growing up, it's nothing to see the best pitcher, this guy who's a phenomenal high school pitcher, be a great hitter as well. And, you know, and then they got to choose one. So I think if a guy gets encouragement and is able to try to do it, then I do think there might be a few who can do it. Whether or not they do it at his level, I don't know.
But here's the problem. Even I did cringe a little bit, Chris, I got to admit, that he said that was the best moment of his career. Best, you know, like an exhibition, yes, you beat the United States, but you're playing in the major leagues. You're playing on a team that you can't get to the playoffs. Like, Ohtani needs to be of that ilk to get the Angels in the postseason. We need to see him on that stage, because this shouldn't be, I'm hoping that this doesn't wind up being the biggest thing that happens. I don't want him to be the Carmelo Anthony of baseball, Chris, where your greatest moment...
Impossible.
You know, your greatest moment was, you know, in the tournament or on international play, but not in the main league. Do you think it's impossible that Ohtani will win for sure? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think it's impossible. Like, in basketball, if one player, there's only 5 on the court, obviously, as you know.
Right.
And one player can have such a greater effect on a basketball game than he can on a baseball game. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, we've seen many great players who haven't won championships, but you've only seen a couple who haven't had, like, any decent amount of postseason success. I shouldn't say a couple, but, you know, Dominique never got past the second round. Melo, got to the conference finals once. Like, usually, a Dame Lillard's been to a conference final. At this point, Jokic at least has been to a conference final. Like, so that's what I mean, right? You know, Rob, you could hit 500 as a batter. You could be undefeated and have a 1.0 ERA and not even make the playoffs in baseball, because it's such a dependent sport on your other teammates. So I hear you. I would love, I agree. You know, I don't know if I said it on our show. I know I said it on First Things First. Well, I did say it on our show yesterday. I'd love to see him with the Yankees. He deserves to be on a bigger stage.
Where they're playing for something, correct? Like of that
definitely.
Talent, he has to be a guy that plays for something. We can't be cheated. To have that guy playing, Chris, and not be on the stage in October, you know, when people are watching and it really matters, and you know every at bat and every pitch really counts. You know, it's good to hit 3 home runs in May against the Texas Rangers. Do you know what I mean? Right. Okay, that's great. Right. Or he struck out 13 Milwaukee Brewers. That's nice too. But I want to see Ohtani against the best of the best, having those moments where he could give us memories and magic that we've seen. That's why when you talk about all the greatest players, it does center around them in those big moments, Chris, right? Michael Jordan winning championships, Wayne Gretzky winning a championship, Stanley Cups in the NHL. Like those great players, very seldom can we say somebody's like the greatest player who hasn't won. Because
the greatest,
right?
is
the
hard.
Greatest, because winning is a big part of that.
Although what I would say is, and we've talked about this many times before, Rob, baseball is different. I mean, Rod Carew was an outstanding hitter, didn't have much playoff success, right? We talked about Ken Griffey Jr. You know, there are others you could talk. Mike Trout obviously is one.
He's only right. He's only been to one postseason.
Right. I mean, I do think I hear you because so many of our heroes from growing up and even they do get to a World Series at some point and maybe win one, but I just think the nature of the sport makes it tough. I'm saying, like, I want to see him with the Yankees or with a team where he's going to consistently be on the big stage and be able to showcase his ability to the whole country. But I wouldn't look at it. Here's where I'm coming from, I guess. I wouldn't look at it as a negative on him if he stayed with Anaheim, Rob, and could never get there.
No, I know what you mean. I'm just saying for the greater, like, it's a selfish thing for baseball and baseball fans. It's just selfish. We want to see him on that plateau. We just saw him come up against a great lineup, of USA players and be able to shut them down. And I think we just want to see that. And I don't know if you're going to see that if he stays with the Angels. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm almost like, here, let me throw this one thing in too, Rob, about him saying last night was his biggest moment. I get where you're coming from because it's like, wow. But when I thought about it, Rob, remember, he's in a foreign country.
Right.
And, I mean, obviously the MLB means something to him because he chose to come here. But did he grow up really watching Major League Baseball? Was he really into it? It may
probably not.
If I was in
I
was in a foreign country, I was playing in that league, saying basketball or whatever. But then we also had a national, where I could play for America, and we came there and we played the best players in my country and we beat them. I might think, you know what, this meant more. I was playing for my country. We played against your best players and we beat you. I think that might have something to do with it too.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I'm not. I think he has so much to give, and I want to see if he can do that. And he's lived up to the hype this far. Yeah. I just think that there's more there. While this will be a nice moment, I hope it's not his greatest moment ever. That he should have great moments in Major League Baseball with everything on the line. Right. That's what I'm expecting to see. That's what I want to see, and that's what I don't want to be cheated from.
Right. And you know what else, Rob? We just pray the dude can stay healthy because it seems so much, not just baseball, basketball nowadays. Like, dudes just get hurt. But in baseball, it does seem to happen a lot more, especially the pitchers.
Of late.
Yeah, hopefully he stays healthy and is able to play both ways for several years from now.